The League of Women Voters of Cupertino-Sunnyvale presents the Cupertino Union School District Board of Education Candidate Forum 2018, live from the Cupertino Community Hall. And now for tonight's moderator, Tracy Edwards.
Welcome to this candidate forum for Cupertino Union School District. I'm Tracy Edwards from the League of Women Voters and will be moderating tonight's forum. The League of Women Voters runs forums like this to allow voters to see candidates and to hear them address questions of interest to the public. Our goal is to enable voters to learn about the candidates so they can make informed choices. The League of Women Voters never endorses or opposes a candidate or a political party. 3 of the 5 seats on the Board of Trustees for Cupertino Union are up for election this November. All 4 of the candidates are here this evening. They are Lori Cunningham, Wil Fluewelling, Satheesh Kumar Mandhathil, and Jerry Liu. Voters in this school district may vote for 3 of these candidates, and the 3 candidates that get the most votes in November will be elected to the school board. The candidates have agreed to a format and ground rules for tonight's forum, and the format is simple. I will pose questions to the candidate, and each candidate will have 60 seconds to respond. A timer seated in the front row will give the candidate visual signals to help them pace their responses. The questions for tonight's forum were developed by a team of League members based upon their own research and questions submitted by the public via email. Since we received ample questions from the public in advance, we are not collecting more questions from the audience tonight. The forum is being recorded and aired live via the Cupertino City channel. The ground rules ask that the candidates not use forum recordings for campaign purposes. We also encourage the audience not to record the forum because we want it to be shown in its entirety. We'll tell you how to access the forum video at the end of tonight's program. Finally, we ask that the audience refrain from displays of support or opposition, and please hold your applause until the end of the forum. We'll now turn our attention to the candidates. Thank you all for running for office, and thank you for participating tonight. Each candidate will provide an opening statement. The speaking order for the opening statements, determined by random drawing, will be from left to right, and we'll start with Wil. Wil, your opening statement, please.
Hello, everyone. I would first like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this event, and all of you for being here, of course. I am very new to this political game, and so I'm a fresh face. A lot of you probably don't even know me, even though I've been here for 10 years, and yeah, it's been good. And so I am here because my son just started kindergarten this year, and I think that's pretty special. I'm enjoying that journey so far, and so I look forward to the next 8 years, and possibly even further. So I am here to see what I can do with the district, kind of on the financial level. I have a good couple decades of accounting experience and some startup experience, some nonprofit work that I think will be quite helpful to a district that is currently running in the red. So I want to look at some more revenue streams, possibly look at more on the operational side of things. Let's see where we can shave some money off, see if PG&E is giving us a good rate, see if the water district's giving us the right terms. And Wil, thank you for your time.
Satheesh, you're next.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me, and thanks the government voters as well. And about me a little bit, I've been a Cupertino School District resident for last over 13 years. Okay, 20 years almost, but 13 years my kids have been in the school. So I started as a classroom volunteer and, in Faria. And then second year itself, I have become a PTA board member, and later a lot of PTA positions, leadership positions. Right now, I am the Monta Vista PTA president, council vice president for leadership, and 6th district executive board member. And over and above, I am the regional commissioner for American Youth Soccer Organization, which is a nonprofit organization which promotes soccer in youth. And in my past, I was the PTA president for Faria, executive vice president in Kennedy Middle School, and school site council chair for Faria for 2 years, and actually 5 years in Faria, the fundraising chair. So tons of PTA experience, still active in PTA, last 13 years.
Thank you very much. Jerry?
All right. So thank you all for being here today, and thanks to the League for hosting this event. My name is Jerry Liu, and I'm the father of 2 girls currently enrolled in the district. Our family moved to Cupertino 8 years ago for its schools, and since then I've been active in our school, in our community. As the current president, PTA president for Lincoln Elementary and vice president at Kennedy Middle School, I'm familiar with the needs of our teachers and our students. As a president of the Cupertino Library Foundation, I understand some of the things that our community values. And as a planning commissioner for the city of Cupertino, I recognize the responsibilities that come with public service. In 2016, I received the CREST Award from the city of Cupertino for my volunteer work in education. Professionally, I've authored papers and I've received patents for the use of technology in education, and I'll bring over a decade of people management and budget ownership experience to the school board. I'm honored to have been endorsed by 3 of the 5 current school board members, and I hope to earn your trust and your vote this November. Thank you.
Lori.
Good evening. Thank you all so much for being here tonight, and to the League for hosting us. My name is Lori Cunningham, and I am a 9-year volunteer and leader here in CUSD. I have held most every volunteer job there is to hold at our elementary school, and as well have served on the PTO Board of Directors and as our school site council chair for the past several years at Montclair Elementary. I have also spent the last 4 school years serving on all 4 now of our standing district advisory committees, including our budget advisory. I am a proud product of CUSD schools. I grew up here in Sunnyvale, and I attended West Valley Elementary and Cupertino Middle School myself when it was still a middle school before it was it was a junior high before it was a middle school. And so running for board is really coming full circle for me. This is the community and schools that helped to raise me. This is the community and schools that are helping me to raise my own family. I have a master's in physical therapy and have worked extensively as a clinician, clinical educator, and teaching graduate students as a healthcare director.
Lori, thank you very much. Satheesh, the next question will go to you. What unique strength or skill will you bring to the board?
So I think first of all, I have been in all this volunteer organization and community services. The main thing for me is I can talk, I can work with anybody, and I can negotiate well. I go based on consensus, and I have a lot of leadership skills, and I'm an engineering manager too. So last 13 years of engineering manager leadership helped me to deal with different types of people, and as part of my everyday volunteer work, I have been working with a different kind of people and were able to work with them very well. I can lead a team, I can negotiate with people, I can work with any difficult situation and any crisis management. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jerry, you're next.
Would you mind repeating the question,
Happy
please?
to. What unique strength or skill will you bring to the board?
Sure. A couple of things. I hope that the voters will consider me because I've spent a lot of, probably literally putting hundreds of hours into the school and the community the last several years. I've served in all the leadership positions at PTA, School Site Council, at both elementary and middle school level. I've been involved in community organizations, talked about the Library Foundation. I'm also a board member for Asian American Parent Association that puts on a lot of parent enrichment sort of education seminars. I also have experience with public service. I serve on the Planning Commission, and so I know what it's like to take in government to take an idea to a proposal to implementation. And lastly, in my corporate day job, I manage an international team with a multi-million-dollar budget, and so I could also bring management, people management, and budget experience to the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lori, please.
So I've been a parent leader for a long time in this district now, and in that time I've had the opportunity to listen and to learn from stakeholders all over this district. But I've also attended almost every school board meeting in this district since the spring of 2016, so for more than 2 years now. And in that time, I have had the opportunity, I think, to become uniquely qualified to hit the ground running after this election. I've heard as our teachers and staff have spoken to the challenges of working through curriculum adoptions and pilots. I've learned alongside our current board members as students and teaching teams from many of our schools are featured and honored in our district. And I've listened through 3 budget cycles now, as both our leadership team and our staff on the front line speak to the challenges of trying to work within our extremely limited funding in our school district. I'm not foolish enough to say that I can solve all of our problems on my own, but I won't make promises that I can't keep. What I can say is that I'm committed to making sure that our community does not ever have to question whether or not our district is managing its resources wisely.
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate it. And Wil?
Strengths for me, I certainly don't have the impressive background and experience that the three candidates next to me do, but I bring a bit of passion to the table. You know, I'm young. I just turned 40 last month, and it's a different perspective than some may have. I don't really have any political biases necessarily. I'm not tied to any big organizations. I just care about the kids. I want to make sure our kids have a great future. And I'm not going to touch on all the accounting and stuff. I think that'll help. I want to use my MBA and think outside the box a little bit. Think of schools and how we can cooperate more with some of these big companies in the area. And I think that'll be how I can help the most. Operational excellence.
Thank you. Jerry, the next question will begin with you. How will you get to know our schools and the issues that are of importance to parents?
So I think this question comes down to sort of communication and engagement. And one of the, I think I would bring the sort of the parents' perspective to the board. I think there has been coffee talks and various things that the board members have gone to the schools, but sometimes I wonder that's not necessarily where people are. At the schools at Lincoln and Kennedy, there's a very strong presence on social media. And so that's where a lot of people get their information. So I think in addition to the thought surveys, the normal communication channels, I would actually look at to go to online where people are. I would hold events and open office hours to get feedback from the parents and the community in general. Thank you.
Very good. Lori?
Can you repeat the question for me, Tracy?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
How will you get to know our schools and the issues that are of importance to parents?
Right, okay. So I feel very fortunate to have been able to serve on all of our district advisory committees in the last 4 years, because that gave me the opportunity to get to know parent leaders from all 25 of our schools, 20 elementary schools, 5 middle schools. And I've really had the opportunity to already be able to understand where there's a lot of common ground between all of our schools, as well as some of the things that make our different schools unique. There are many things that come to the table when you are in a collaborative space and working together to look for those things where you can leverage to make it better for all kids in our district. And so I have no doubt that I will continue down that path of making it a priority to visit all of our schools, to be involved with all of our schools, and to really listen and learn all over this community, because I think that's how we can best represent and to truly have a voice for all kids as a part of our school board. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Wil?
I am so excited to get out there and get to know some of these schools. Luckily, I don't work a 9 to 5. I do not have a full-time job. I have part-time work. So I plan to get out to every school and make sure I sit down with the principal, make sure I talk to the teachers and the parents. I really look forward to that part of getting to know the community more. And I just happen to be lucky enough that I don't have an incredibly horrible schedule that has me running 9 to 5 crazy hours all the time, chasing my kid off to another activity after another activity. That'll come, I'm sure, but right now, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, you're good.
Thank you. Satheesh?
Yeah, I'm true. I'm really a community representative, actually, because I spend more outside than at home, to be frank. I mean, it's like I am with grassroots level. I am pretty much hands-on, and most of my current volunteer work calls me to go around and talk to people. And I am more a doer than talker. So what it ends up happening is I mingle every time where I go. I have to have some people around me. And we discuss, we talk, we argue, we come up with solutions many times. And I think the best way to communicate with the people is in person, rather than going through email or social media and other things. And I think it's quite helping me out, and I'm sure I'll be able to do that, continue.
Thank you very much. Lori, the next question will be for you to begin with. CUSD is undertaking the development of a long-term strategic plan. What are the 2 or 3 critical components that you would like to see in that long-term strategic plan?
I'm going to speak to my priorities for the district. I believe in academic success for all learners. I think our budget, our bottom line, is extremely important right now. And I think that we need to find ways in our strategic plan to encourage engagement and collaboration across all stakeholder groups. I define academic success as balance between that strive for academic excellence for every student, but also in meeting the social and emotional well-being and needs of every one of our learners. It is tough to grow up in Cupertino. I can speak to that personally. And I think that we must always be looking for ways to support every learner where they need to be supported and challenge every learner where they need to be challenged. Our budget, our bottom line, we have a lot of work to do there just because of the challenge that we face as a school district that is extremely low funded in this state. We are the 12th lowest funded school district in the state right now, so we have a lot of work to do there. And collaboration, you know, when parents come together for kids is when good things happen. Thank you.
You very much. Wil?
Probably one of the best lessons I learned during my MBA program was that vision is one of the hardest things to create. You're not really born with the ability to talk to people and have them see the same thing you're seeing. So vision and strategy, they're tied together. You're talking a 10-year, 20-year plan. You need to have a vision. You have to be able to have an open communication with the public, with the people that are involved, and you have to have a shared vision. So making sure the community is fully engaged, and we have to do our best to really get all the feedback and the input that we can from the parents, but not just the parents, alumni, and people that are still around and enjoying really great property values because of our wonderful schools. So definitely an open line of communication, and that long-term thinking is going to be really important when it comes to the strategic plan. Good.
Thank you. Satheesh?
Sure, I think I'll repeat this again. Like, you know, some of the challenges what I've been knowing is like the definitely enrollment challenges and the balance between the schools. Definitely this will continue to be a challenge for some more time, and we have to find, you know, creative solution for that. And I'm sure like I will be able to, you know, with my help, like whatever I can, I will try to plug in on that and try to do that. Second one is like definitely earning the trust in the community. That's very important, right? It's not that we did not have it earlier, but again, we are in the continuous improvement process. And I strongly believe in that, and there is a room for us to have that better. The third one is definitely to always, we have been hearing about red budget. We have to see that some ways and means to see that a more, you know, a better budget which will be more, make successful students.
Thank you very much. Jerry?
All right. So coming from a corporate management background, I actually have a lot of experience doing strategic plans. Sometimes I think we do even one a year. So I'm going to not talk so much about what the contents of the plan should be, because that's something that really should come with community input. But I want to talk to what I think should, structurally, what should be in that plan. Right? So Dr. Baker started an exercise to sort of envision, you know, what the CUSD graduate should look like. And I think that's the perfect place to start. Because in the private sector, if you're organizing an enterprise, you're going to start with what's the product you want to produce. So I think we should start from there. And then we typically what you would do is what's called a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You know, maybe not so much threats, but I think in this context. But I think that's a place to start. And then we should do a comparative analysis on what are the best schools in the field doing. We should talk about how we want to be organized, a timeline for implementation, and then a mechanism on how we outreach to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Wil, the next question will begin with you. Are you concerned about the financial viability of Cupertino Union? If yes, why? And if no, why not?
Absolutely. This is my #1 priority, and I think this is where I can help the most. $5 million in red is not a good place to be. It's improving. They're definitely fixing it right now. Dr. Baker and his staff are doing a great job turning it around, and projections are looking better, but we're not there yet. And you know what? I really think Prop 13 is a problem. I know a lot of people told me not to touch this, but eventually the state has to fix it. It just hit its 40-year anniversary, and it's kind of ruining the infrastructure of the whole state. Sure, I wouldn't touch people's retirement homes and things like that, but we can tax our commercial a lot better. We can get a lot more money from them. So I know that's a state thing, but to address it here on the local level, they'll hear it, and it's a big concern. So yeah, let's bring more money in.
Thank you very much. Satheesh?
Yep, definitely it is an issue, right? I think everybody's talking at least budget one time in each of our speech, right? So definitely this is an area where we need to look into. And I think what we need to do is, I know it's a continuous improvement process. Again, in my previous one, I said, I think we have to get into more efficient way of operation overall, right? Look into all ways and means to get any way which you can save and put it in the right way. So we have to be taking a deeper look into that and to see that how we can, optimize and get in for the right one. And some creative way how to generate additional money also we should be looking into. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jerry?
Just repeat the question, please, Tracy.
Oh, I'd be happy to. Are you concerned about the financial viability of Cupertino Union? If yes, why? If no, why not?
All right, I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, it'd probably be a 7 or 8 for me. When I talk to folks that are been here for decades, and I go back and talk to them, what were their problems back then? It's about the budget, because I think there's some structural issues here. Let me talk a bit about how I see this, right? Because there are some factors outside of our control. So first of all, we're a revenue limit district, right? What that means is we get paid on average daily attendance. More kids we serve, more money we get. So you look at some of the trends that are outside our control. Number one, enrollment. Enrollment we're about 17,300 kids. We're looking at probably a 3% drop up until 2022. It'll start coming back up at 23. So what happens is you have an ADA increase of about 2.7%. You have an enrollment drop that's a little bit, that takes that down. And then you have basically some of the decisions that the governor has made in terms of the teacher and employee pensions, which kind of dips that curve down, and that's what's resulting in some of the projected deficits. So definitely it's a concern, because we're going to have to take some actions to make sure we protect the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori?
Yeah, so for the last 2 school years, I have been fortunate to be serving as a part of our Budget Advisory Committee. And so you betcha I'm concerned about our financial viability. CUSD finds itself in the position of being the only, as Jerry was describing, revenue limit or local control funding formula funded district in our area. We are surrounded on all sides by districts that have significantly more money per student than we have. Our students are not getting their fair share. And so I think one of the things that comes from that is it is fair to expect your school board members to be advocates. No one will stand up for us as a district if we don't stand up for ourselves first. And so one of the things that I think I have done and will continue to do as a board member is to be an advocate for more resources coming from the state with our local elected state officials. And that's it. Thank you.
Satheesh, the next question will begin with you. What does academic excellence mean to you?
Academic excellence for me is not just getting A+ everywhere. I think getting definitely the future of our country is our children. The children should excel in everything. Whether it could be a sport, whether it could be a debate and speech, it could be a science, STEM, or math, doesn't matter, or world history, or even to love other people. My view of academic excellence is getting a child into a level that he or she can shine in every aspect of it. So it is not just A+ or any specific engineering or medical or anything. Try to get a child into a true human being. That's what the academic excellence for me is.
Thank you. Jerry?
Sure. So academic excellence for me, I think one of the requisites, of course, is knowledge. I think it's the scores, but that's not all there is. I think, and in fact, that's probably not the most important component. So I work in a research lab. I actually manage a research lab. So all the folks I work with actually all have PhDs. And what I've found in my decade of managing these folks is that the most successful researchers that we have are not the ones who are the best at solving the problems. It's probably the traditional academic excellence. It's the folks that know what problems there is to solve, right? Identifying what the problems and being able to communicate that and pull the team together. That's what constitutes success. And so for me, a lot of this, it's around, there is a core of sort of knowledge, but then there is character leadership. There is being able to work with folks. And there are some of the traits around persistence that I think are key to excellence. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I define academic success for our students as balance. That it is balancing that strive for academic excellence with the social and emotional well-being and needs of every one of our learners. We have a program in CUSD called Project Cornerstone at many of our schools, as well as some other programs that support social and emotional learning. And I believe that those are critical to what we are doing for learners because, as Jerry said, you know, in my professional career, I know that my best therapists and certainly my best partners as parent leaders in this district are people who can embrace critical thinking and innovation and creativity and thinking outside of the box, but compassion. And so I think kindness and compassion is also a part of that definition of academic excellence for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Will?
Everybody kind of nailed it there. It's not all about the A+ and the 4.5 GPA anymore. I think a big component that we might be forgetting about is civic engagement. When I went to school, I was a scholar athlete. You know, I did good in the books and I did good on the field, but I also did good in the community. I volunteered, I worked at food banks, and I helped people around in the homeless shelters and things. And I'm not sure if our kids are doing that yet, or enough at least. I think that's a pretty important component that we're probably starting to slip up on here while we chase that 4.5 GPA. And I think just kind of civic knowledge. You know, 8th graders should know what compounding interest is so they don't get trapped in crazy credit card debt as soon as they're a freshman in college. So simple things like that, balance a checkbook, get them really revved up and ready for the world out there.
Thank you. Jerry, the next question will begin with you. With the ebbs and flows of enrollment, families are concerned about retaining their neighborhood schools. What would be your guiding principles and priorities in dealing with enrollment management across the schools?
Enrollment management. I think this is enrollment imbalance is certainly an issue in our district. We have Stockemeyer up north with you know, over 1,000 kids. We have Blue Hills down in Saratoga that's dropped below 300. We have pending potential project coming at Valco in the sort of the Collins area that could dump another couple hundred kids into the area. I don't think I can, you know, these are sort of the issues I don't think that I can, you know, give an answer to in 60 seconds. What I would do is outreach to the community. I think this is the kind of thing that's, you know, boundary changes is always a touchy issue. And, you know, what I'm hoping is that, you know, one of the whole point of having the strategic plan is we can actually talk about what our shared goals are. Because what happens, I see, is we see a problem and we jump in, we try to optimize it without getting a shared understanding of what the facts are, what are the goals we're trying to get to. And so that's the process I would follow to resolve the enrollment issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori?
Yeah, so Jerry did a great job of defining some of the issues at play with our enrollment imbalance. I think that when it comes to our biggest challenges as a district, this is where community engagement is key. It must be a ongoing, proactive conversation with our community, looking to identify issues and more importantly, to seek common ground. Ultimately, as a extremely low-funded district, we are going to have to make tough choices around our enrollment, around our schools. And I think that's why it's critical that we have members of our Board of Education who are prepared to make the tough choices, but also to absolutely seek input and seek continuous engagement with the community as a part of that process. I think neighborhood schools are the foundations of our communities here in CUSD, and so important.
Thank you very much. Will?
Housing. Housing's a big issue. We can't all live in $4 million McMansions. Some of us are going to have to rent, like my wife and I, and that's okay. We need to have more housing that's affordable for our teachers, for our janitors, for our mechanics. We can't have people driving in from Manteca to be teachers, like one of my wife's colleagues at the high school district. It's just too far. It's a California problem. It's a Bay Area problem. Affordable housing's a real issue that we have to stop ignoring. So spread it out. Let's get some density. Let's get some affordable apartments that people can actually get into.
Thank you. Satheesh?
Yeah, I think pretty much everybody touched up, but I think it needs more discussion, right? It is a touchy subject, actually. There is no single solution for solving this issue, because this needs more discussion. It may take time, right, for us to get into the real solution for that. But there are plenty of things like which could be like, you can make now, for example, we have a lot of, in CUSD itself, we have multiple schools, which is not neighborhood school today, if you see it, which is an alternative school program. We can probably opening up for that. But I'm not providing a solution here, but I'm just in the pot here saying that something of that kind, make people to, have some attractive program everywhere where people can try going if they are interested in something. Oh, and different such things probably we will be able to think and brainstorm and bring it in.
Thank you. Jerry?
I think I've already gone, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. My bad. Lori, excuse me. You're next. You'll have the next question. How can Cupertino Union deal with recruiting high-quality teachers to our high-cost environment?
That's a good one. So absolutely, hiring and retaining quality professionals is critical to our success as a district. Compensation matters, but I think if we all think about our own professional careers, we also know that when you feel supported, when you feel respected, when you feel like what you are doing matters, when you feel like you are being listened to, when you feel like your input is being included in the decision making, those are all things that lead to a district where teachers will want to spend their careers with us. I think that professional development matters. I think giving our teachers opportunities to not only express what they view their professional track as looking like, but also what their goals are for themselves, and then encouraging and helping them achieve those goals is also something that would make us an attractive district for educators to spend their time with us.
Thank you very much. Wil?
Did I mention housing yet? Yeah, it's a real issue. It's getting harder to live here, guys. It's getting much harder. So we can only do so much with salaries because we're limited on what we get from the state and everything else. So having great packages, it's not as easy. Google has all their fun stuff, all their perks. School boards can't do that. We do not have the public funds available. So what can we do? We can maybe subsidize housing. Let's look at it. Let's not shut it down so fast like we did with West Valley. Let's check this Valco thing out. Let's see what happens over there. Maybe we can keep some people here. Get teachers paid the right salaries. They should be making just as much as these tech folks over in the engineering world, and doctors and lawyers. Get them the right salaries. They'll stick around.
Thank you. Satheesh?
Yep. So I think one of my 5 priorities which I put was staff development. Definitely staff development comes in picture here. So people, even for me, myself, like I won't just go based on the salary what I get it. I need to have a good environment for me to work, for me to be succeed, for me, and while doing the job, what I'm learning, or after 10 years of work, what I learned. So these are probably the facilities, the professional development, and the pride itself, like on what they are doing. That's what, as an administrators, we should be doing it. We should give them an environment that will definitely excel their career or their pride and so on. Definitely compensation is a big one, and there are challenges on that which we need to look into. But at the same time, see what are the other ways and means, how we are better than our neighboring school district, how our teachers would come here and do it. So by working in CUSD, is there something better they are getting it other than the money? That's what we should be projecting as.
Thank you. And now, Jerry.
Sure. So, in the corporate HR world, there's a thing called, there's a psychologist named Maslow, and there's a Maslow theory of needs. It's a pyramid, right? And at the bottom are basically, you need to be able to survive. And at the top of that pyramid is really things like self-actualization. What is it that you want to fulfill? Now, I think, where we are with our revenue limit district, we're just not, frankly, it's hard for us to be competitive and outpace some of the other districts. But we need to do an adequate job there. So that's the first thing. But I think the second thing here is there's more to a job than compensation. There's a quality of life, and there's basically helping the teachers through professional development. One of the things when I talk to the teachers of the schools is a lot of it is around just the bureaucracy, things that take time away from the things they want to do. And if we were to kind of, get rid of some of that, it would really help them. And last thing is just, in our PTA, we just helped the teacher, we just funded, she had always wanted to put together a Lego club. And we gave her $1,000 to do that. And first pictures came in wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Out of time, thank you.
Thank you. Will, the next question will begin with you. There's a potential for up to 4 new trustees on the Cupertino Union Board. What opportunities and challenges does this present?
Whew. Hey, Phyllis, are you ready to have a bit of a hard time? Yeah. So Phyllis will be our senior advisor, pretty much. She'll be left there alone if Liang wins and rolls off to City Council. So yeah, challenges, we're all gonna be green, and we all have to learn the ropes of this thing. Lori, sure, she's been there, she's had experience there as a participant, but not fully engaged in it. So we're all gonna have a big learning curve. But at least most of us have some board experience in things, so we understand the bureaucracy and the rules around it. Back to getting to know the whole district. This is a big district. I think I've heard a stat that it's the largest in Northern California. And getting out to 25 schools within a year, it's gonna be tough, but if you have a loose enough schedule, you can make it happen. So that's really where I'm gonna focus.
Thank you. Satheesh?
Definitely what I understand is definitely we need to have 5 board members. You don't have a choice there, right? So what is the best out of that? Like even if you don't have a 4th person, that what you do there, right? So I think what I would propose or I would do is like without burdening the district already, which is already bleeding, is there any better way for us to resolve this issue? Definitely, as Will said, that we have to definitely tap a lot of expertise from the others, like, whose experienced people around, like Phyllis and others. So we should see that how we can run. At the same time, to see that whether we can, as per the, I think, requirement, we need to have the 5th person or the 4th person in this case, and see that what is the best way how we can recruit.
Thank you very much. Jerry?
All right, sure. I guess Liang's happy that we're sort of assuming she wins her city council race with this question, but I'll just go with that. I actually see a lot more opportunities and challenges. I think we're very lucky to have Phyllis Vogel continuing on the board. She is a professional. She's worked in the district. And so I think in terms of someone who understands the business, if I had to pick one person to sort of guide the rest of the board, it would be Phyllis. Okay, and then I think the next other factor here is the arrival of a new superintendent. I think the last couple of years in this district, I think however you see things, I would say controversial is probably a good word that most people would agree. And I think this allows us to, with the sort of start a new chapter. And one of the reasons for me wanting to run this time is really to have an opportunity to work with a superintendent, new board, to really set a new direction. I think from what I've seen so far of Dr. Baker, I'm very hopeful that this is it's going to be great. I actually really don't see challenges per se, but I'm very happy about all the new opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. And Lori?
Yeah, so certainly the challenge is continuity of leadership, right? And I think everybody has identified that we are especially proud of and thankful for Phyllis's leadership there. But I also think that when you are choosing your next board members, skills like leadership skills, collaboration skills, picking somebody who is known to be a listener and a team player, and somebody who is interest-driven, not necessarily position-driven, somebody who is not just looking to put forward their own position on something, but really to look for the interests of the community and to drive those forward in setting new policy will be important. I think somebody who is open to working collaboratively, not only with the board, but with the superintendent. And I'm going to end there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Satheesh, the next question will begin with you. What, if anything, should be done to reduce school-created traffic congestion?
So one thing is which we have been always trying. Definitely, walking is an option and biking is an option, which we have been trying. Actually, as a PTA leader, which I have been trying this for 8 years back. I started this and continued in Kennedy. In Kennedy, we did a Bolt program. I know some of you must be knowing this. We used to count how many kids are walking and coming, kind of. And in Montavish as a PTA president, what I am doing is we have a traffic controller right now, right? And we are inviting safe route to school and many, initiatives which is already in the city level which is taken, we are encouraging. So I think my proposal would be here is to, first of all, we need to have a safer path for people to walk, kids to walk, right? Like we do not want them to be without enough, sidewalks and other things. We need to create a safer environment and encourage them to walk or bike.
Thank you.
Would you mind, Tracy, repeating the question, please?
I'd be happy to. What, if anything, should be done to reduce school-created traffic congestion?
Right. So in preparing for this, I reviewed some of the past forums, and traffic keeps coming up in every single one of these. So it's a long-standing problem, and I believe it's a structural one, because fundamentally, the schools and the roads were built at an earlier time when there were a lot fewer folks. Okay, so with that said, I think if I were on the board, one of the things I would do would be to reach out to work with the respective city councils. The school traffic, the school power sort of ends at the school boundary, and I have a lot of experience with this where the principals was really helpless to be able to do much outside of that. So first would be to work with the city councils. I think there's, at the schools I've been at, there's been a number of things that we've been able to do, sort of out-of-the-box thinking to sort of spread out, to sort of help with the traffic. Primary problems, you have a hot spot with cars, right? So things like safe routes to school, encouraging more biking and walking, encouraging kids through rewards and teacher reminders to do that. And then maybe thinking about extended releases to spread out the time the kids leave. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lori?
So absolutely, I've heard safe routes to school come up a couple of times, and anybody who knows me knows that that's been something which I've tried to stay very informed of in this district and work hard at being a part of the solution there. Certainly education matters. Having a safe routes to school curriculum in our schools is something that we do not have a universal solution across our district for right now. Making sure that all students in our schools are getting that same opportunity for that education, as well as for the routes. And the district must play a role, I think, in helping to identify where we can be partners. Traffic is a regional problem. It will require regional solutions. And so being able to work with our surrounding cities, with our jurisdictions, with our agencies, to look for where we might have opportunities to partner for grant funding, where we might have opportunities in our next bond to maybe address infrastructure changes that might improve traffic flow in and out of our schools. All of those things will be critical to improving student safety and traffic. Thank you
very much. Will?
This is a funny one. I just changed my tune on this one just today. At first, I was all about bringing school buses back, but it's a little antiquated and it's expensive. And what I just learned from Hung is that at the high school level, they are piloting a Lyft type app where people can carpool. And you're vetted and you're safe. So that's less cars. Kids are getting in cars with parents already, so you might as well maximize those cars. Instead of one-on-one, let's get more bodies into these vehicles. Yeah, a regional bus line, cool. If VTA doesn't want to help us out, or Caltrain or any of the other ones, let's form our own with the 6 cities that we deal with, if we can. But for now, I really think the tech option might be a pretty good one to consider, and we should not ignore that.
Thank you. Now we'll turn to the question that we gave the candidates in advance to give them the opportunity to comment on something they did not get asked about this evening. So Jerry, you'll be the first to respond. Would you please state and answer a question you wish you had been asked this evening?
Sure. My question would be, why do you think CUSD is such a great school district? And my answer is, it's because of the people. It's people like Hui, a PTA mom, who volunteers for everything she can and does everything with such meticulous, loving care. It's people like Daryl, a science teacher who goes out of his way to pack his classroom with the latest technology so that his students get excited about STEM. It's people like Sheila, a librarian who scrambles to maintain a great collection for her students, even though for years she's gotten no material budget from the district. And it's people like Anne, a new principal who comes into a distrustful community and turns it into an enthusiastic one because she listens and she takes action. And I think it's because of people like that and thousands across the district whom I haven't met yet that makes this school district so great. And I want to be on the board to be able to help these folks do the things that they do so well for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori?
Yeah, so I think the question that I'd ask and answer is, what is your commitment to serving on CUSD's board? I'm a big believer in actions speaking just as loudly as words. I have dedicated myself to service in this district for the majority of the last decade, leveraging both my leadership and my professional skills for the benefit of kids in this community. I'm committed to the promise of public education. I believe it is the foundation of not only our democracy, but of the American dream. Every child needs resources, support, mentorship, and love to thrive. That happens best when our communities, our parents, our school district, and our elected officials come together in partnership for kids. The challenges that we face as a school district will change over time, but what will not change is my commitment to listening, to seeking input, to finding common ground. I am grounded in the shared history of this community, and I'm committed to our future, and that is my commitment to CUSD.
Thank you very much. Will?
Yay, what a great segue, Lori, because that is exactly what I was going to say. Okay, you two, you have full-time jobs. You have crazy commitment levels. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you have the time to do this? Are you sure you're ready? Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Satish.
I'll start with I'm ready. Okay. So I think the question, again, it's a good start for me also, right? I think what I would say is like how my experience would directly benefit the functioning of this board. Okay. And as I told you, I have been an engineering leader, community leader, PTA leader. Wherever I am, I have been a leader. Okay. And I was a natural leader, not a nominated leader or pushed by somebody. Okay. Wherever I am, I was asked to take it, right? And I think I truly represent the community and the parents. And I understand what they are looking for in terms of transparency, communication, and so on. I have learned a lot of leadership skills, organizing skills, consensus-based decision-making, and negotiation. So I think with all this quality, I'm sure I can influence the board.
Thank you very much. Please join me. I did catch you. Yes. Please join me in a round of applause to thank the candidates for participating tonight. The candidates will remain after the forum to give you a chance to talk to them individually. You may also pick up their literature in the lobby. Please visit lwvcs.org in the coming days to find the video for tonight's forum. Go to the calendar. On the website, scroll down for the listing for this event, and you will find the forum link. I also encourage you to check out votersedge.org, formerly Smart Voter. This is the League of Women Voters election information website. Among the valuable information, it includes content on the money behind politics at the federal and state level. More information will be added to Voters Edge throughout October, especially for local contests and measures. I want to thank you all for coming this evening, and also thank the people who sent in questions by mail. We greatly appreciate the City of Cupertino for the use of Community Hall and for their wonderful TV crew who makes this forum available to Cupertino voters. We hope tonight's forum has helped you with your voting decisions, and if you like this event and would like to help with future forums, please visit our table in the lobby. At that table, you will find a flyer listing more election events. Last and most importantly, please remember to vote on November 6th. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.